we were talking about Jimmy Caan. Jimmy Caan did something that you also did. He was in a John Wayne movie.
Yeah.
And with him, it said John Wayne tested him a lot. Now, what was the Duke like with you?
I'll tell you, this is strange. Henry Hathaway. I saw the way he directed a guy, and he said to the guy, now can you imagine saying this to Johnny Unitas in the Super Bowl? He said to this actor, this is the direction, quote unquote, when I say action, tense up, God damn it. This is what he said to the actor. I said, oh. So now we got in this big argument for 20 minutes. I called him every night. He was saying he didn't know, and I got lightheaded. And finally John Wayne said, I do believe he's got the boy's dandruff. He started laughing and everything, and he said, afterwards he went over, I said, don't give me that Martha Graham shit I learned, don't pose me. I said, fire me, I'll take you to the union, because he had ruined Dennis Hopper's career for this very guy. Good guy, but he was hard to work with. So when it was over, he comes up to John, somebody said, he looked around and says, what's a fuck? He said, in 40 years of directing, I've never been called a fuck, he said. So he was all right, but like, and then John Wayne was getting this big kick out of the whole thing, you know, and because, yeah, I really went nuts.
You know, I've always been interested when people come up to actors and repeat lines of theirs from movies.
All the time, like it's the first time that you forgot it and only they remember it. I mean, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. But I was telling somebody this morning, like I called a preacher, and they don't know, I don't know movies, but I heard about Mr. Duvall, and then we call back, oh yeah, I heard he had a great line in the movie. I said, I love the smell of gasoline in the morning. You got it wrong.
As an actor, you get to be exposed to a lot of different people, different jobs, exciting jobs.
Yeah.
When you did the Great Santini, how was that experience working around all those pilots?
Great. They wouldn't let me go up at first because, you know, insurance. Then the last day of the film, it said, now you can go up. They didn't mind if I got killed once the film was over. But it was great around the Marines, and you know, it's an education process, like a crash postgraduate course in every subject you do, in every film you do, if it's dealing with a different topic, you know, or profession. And I love certain locations, and Beaufort, South Carolina was wonderful. I have great memories of that area, great memories. The whole area, and I went back a few times, and the people, and the culture, and you know, the historic significance, and the Marines and the pilots. It was just nice.
I spoke to Tess Harper a few years ago, and we were talking about Tender Mercies, and she said the release of the movie was quite frustrating for her because it was released sporadically in different markets. Was that frustrating for you, and how surprised were you when you won the Oscar for that?
Always. Well, it was nice to win an Oscar. I knew I won it when Dolly Parton, because, you know, she was a country singer, but both those movies, The Great Santini and Tender Mercies, were not going to be released. I heard from the Telluride Film Festival people that they were not going to release Tender Mercies, and they finally did. And then I had Willie Nelson came to see a screening in New York, and I said, well, maybe we could do a little publicity. And the packet, or the marketing person in New York said, well, how could Willie Nelson help a film like this? I mean, that's crazy to say that if you're in marketing.
You know, why do they not want to release it?
I don't know, small film. I guess they make it, and then they know it's not going to do that well, so they put it on a shelf and go with a bigger film that's going to make more money, obviously. I don't know. It's about money. I mean, it should be about money to a degree, but also there are other things. And if they'd have marketed that right, it could have made some money for them.
We're doing a lighthearted look at the Oscar ceremonies. I got a couple of quick questions about the ceremonies themselves and the Oscar statue. When you bring it home, I imagine everyone wants to pick it up and look at it.
Yeah.
How often do people ask to borrow it, to take it to a party or anything?
Nobody's ever asked that. I think they know they're out of line if they ask that. I would never allow that. It sits on my mantle in New York. I'm going to take it to Virginia because I'm going to try to sell our place up here. Yeah. My wife and I have a farm in Virginia, but the one that uses it the most is an unemployed actor. Well, no, he works quite a bit. Jimmy Keene, a friend of mine from Buffalo, New York, he goes in as a conversation piece to try to help him with women. When he has a date, he takes the Oscar, you know. But it sits in New York, and I'm going to take it to Virginia. You know, I look at it periodically. I don't think about it that much. It's nice to have won.
And one very quick question, what do you remember of the limousine ride to the Oscars? Like various years, how adventuresome is that?
You get stuck. You get stuck. I got there. We were late. My wife didn't have her fare right, so we got there late. Had to sit down right away. I had to go to the bathroom bad, And when I won the Oscar, I put it on top of the urinal and let it sit there for a few minutes. But because everything's rushed, and you don't think you're going to make it. Well, naturally you're going to make it, but it's right down to the wire because of that traffic out there in Los Angeles. It's amazing.
Bob, we met once before. I was in high school, and I spent the day in San Francisco watching Sam Peckinpah shoot a movie.
Oh.
And actually, I didn't see too much of you. You were up on a rooftop with a machine gun shooting down on James Caan.
I got mad because they put me up there, and I was going to fall over, and Jimmy was laughing because I was getting mad because there was no stunt man. I remember that day. I think that was the day they had the cameras down there. Yeah, Jimmy's great to work with.
Well, what are your memories of working with Sam Peckinpah? Sure.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, he was a little inebriated sporadically on that job, so I couldn't really tell, from what he was about compared to the days when he was in his heyday, I suppose. Like in the Wild Bunch and everything. But it was okay. But mainly I went because Jimmy Caan was going to do it, and we sometimes we talked about working together again. We worked a number of films together, and we always like to work together. He's a good guy to work with. So I think he was the one that kind of got me in on it, got me interested in the film.
Bob, I've always been curious about actors' jobs before they become actors.
Right.
Didn't you work the night shift in a post office
Yeah, I did.
for a
I
while?
was talking about that today, and I said I had enough money in my pocket. I'd never had any before, and I said, after 6 months, I quit because I figured I'd be here for the rest of my life. Because I want to be but it was a good job, yeah. I memorized the scheme, where to put the letters, and then 2 days later I forgot it. I did it it was a good filler job. I had a lot of those jobs.
One final question. This is about your childhood, actually. Your father was an admiral.
Right.
And as a kid growing up as the son of an admiral, is that a little bit difficult? Was it kind of hard to judge who your real friends were, and who might be people who were maybe kind of like sucking up to you? Or?
No, because I never was around people that were trying to suck up to him or anything. And plus, we were kind of a transient family. We moved a lot, so therefore. But actually, it was my parents. My father's a military. My parents who kind of pushed me into acting. They were the ones that suggested it.